Ever feel you could achieve much more with your time? I used to feel I was constantly chasing my tail until I started using the 12-week year and got 5x more done in the same amount of time. And now, dozens of my clients are doing the same. So now I'm going to show you how to use the exact system I use to finally find time for everything. To start, let me show you the number one mistake that is making you feel like you never have enough time in your day. About 10 years ago, I was managing a $15 million business. We were doing fine, but I had a growing list of projects I had to tackle, like new products to launch, efficiency improvements, system upgrades, and so on. The problem was, I just could not find the time to do them. So instead of being in control of my day, I felt like I was in total reaction mode all the time. In big chunks of my day, I was putting out fires like answering emails, handling chats, jumping on calls, or responding to employees who needed my attention. Sounds familiar? I knew that if I did not act quickly, I'd fall behind the competition. So what did I do? So I researched and tested every major productivity system out there to find the best way to achieve more with my time. And the winner? The 12-week year. Which brings me back to the question I started this section with. What is the number one mistake that is making you feel like you never have enough time in your day? And the answer is that 99% of people do not use a complete system to manage their time. Now, many ask me, wait, Dan, why do we need a whole system just for managing my time? Can I just time block or use a calendar hack or just make a better to-do list? Let me explain. I've spent the last decade making it my mission to read the most influential productivity books, study over 200 academic papers, and explore every framework I could find. It was not just to gather ideas, but it was to test them in the real world. I reached a critical, life-transforming conclusion. You can't cherry-pick one part of a productivity system and expect it to change everything. We often try to fix just one area, say like time management, but it rarely works in isolation. What I discovered is this: real sustainable high performance only happens when all the core pieces, your vision, goals, weekly plans, time blocking, scorekeeping, commitment, and ongoing reflection, are deeply connected and working together in sync. Now think about it for a second. How can you know how to spend your most valuable time if you haven't first set clear goals and built a weekly plan to match? One part depends on the others. That's the point. And don't worry, it's much easier than it sounds, and I'll show you exactly how in just a moment. In short, you need a complete system where every component supports the others like a tuned orchestra. That's exactly what the 12-week years gives you. And to take it even further, I've woven in the most effective strategies from the top books, research, and frameworks. So you get the complete 12-week year system enhanced by the best productivity ideas out there. So how do you actually use a 12-week year to take control of your time and finally find time for everything that matters? Let me show you the 4 simple steps that you can use starting today to put the 12-week year into action and make time for what matters. Let's start with step 1, which is creating a vision. Now, this is much easier than it sounds. I'm not talking about some grand 3-year master plan with 15 bullet points. To start, all you need is a short 12-week vision addressing a specific area of your life. Just ask yourself, where do I see myself in 12 weeks? That's exactly what Mike, a client of mine who owns a hardware chain, did. Now, Mike was not happy with his business and was looking for a better way to manage and prioritize his time. I encouraged Mike to start simple, and indeed he started with a simple 12-week vision. And the vision was build a more efficient business that frees me, Mike, from daily firefighting and allows me to scale. Now, this vision might sound a bit complex, but it is not, and you'll see how powerful this becomes in just a moment. Now, why do we start with a vision at all? The vision is the why. It is the thing that creates your conviction. It acts like your small personal North Star that guides you and anchors you to what really matters. Okay, so now we have the vision in place. How do we make it practical? Which leads us to step number 2, which is about setting goals. Let's return to Mike for a minute. Mike took his vision and broke it into two goals. The first one was improve inventory management by 15%, and the second was to increase customer retention by 10%. Notice that these goals are, one, directly linked to his vision of building a more efficient business, and two, actionable and measurable. Now, why did Mike translate his 12-week vision into actionable goals? Well, a vision inspires you, but without specific goals, it just stays what it is. It's a dream. For example, you might say, I want to achieve financial freedom by December 31st. That's terrific. But unless you break it down into clear, measurable goals like reduce my expenses by 25%, it just stays a dream. Now, notice what just happened. We started with a vision. We broke it down into clear goals. And now, do you see how your time structure is starting to take shape? This is where real time management begins, by knowing exactly what to focus on. And honestly, just by creating a vision and setting clear goals, you're already ahead of 95% of people when it comes to time management. But to get to the 99%, just add the next two steps. So step 3 is the weekly plan. Let's come back to Mike for a second. He had two clear goals: improve inventory management by 15% and increase customer retention by 10%. Now, what do you think is missing here? Now, please pause for a second and just think about it. You're right. A plan of some sorts to make it happen. Goals do not happen by accident. To move from goals to action, you need to break those goals into granular weekly and daily actions and create a weekly tactical plan for every week of the 12 weeks. So together with Mike, we mapped out his weekly tactical plan, small specific actions that moved him closer to the goal week by week. So now you can see Mike's general plan for each week. So week 1 is research inventory software, week 2 is pick the vendor, week 3, and so on. I don't want to dive into each and every week. Let's dive into week number 1. So let's zoom in on week 1 for a second, which is research inventory software. Now, remember Mike's two goals for this 12-week period. The first one was improve inventory management by 15%, and the second one was increase customer retention by 10%. So how did week 1 actually look in practice? Well, if you take a look, Mike broke his goals down into specific actions and blocked them straight into his calendar. So take Monday the 10th, for example, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., we see research inventory software. Okay, so this is a focused, strategic block of time dedicated solely to advancing one of his key goals. Then between 12 and 1, we see he added a buffer time. Now this time was set aside for routine stuff like returning calls, answering emails, handling small fires, and so on. Now his team knew that this was the time they could reach him for questions or urgent matters, not when he was in deep focus. So it was important for him to set some buffer times, which he knew he should use for managing the daily routines and the stuff that came up during managing his business during the day. Then again, we see from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. he blocked another strategic slot, this time to visit Jarrold's, which I think was another hardware chain in the area, to learn from them how they manage customer retention. So we see another strategic slot dedicated for an action blocked on his calendar specifically to advance one of his key goals. Okay, and that's just one day. So you can look at the entire week and you see how he blocked strategic times for the specific actions he wanted to take in order to advance his goals. Now, I hope you can see the shift by now. So really what happened is Mike went from a chaotic, reactive days, always putting out fires, to a much more calm, structured schedule where he knew exactly what to do and when to do it. So Mike told me that just this one change, the switch from random to intentional time management, he told me that he thinks he became 5 times more productive. So this stuff is just, for me, is really exciting. I mean, because just doing some, I wouldn't say minor, but some shifts in how you think and what type of productivity system you use, using a fairly simple 4-step process, you can totally shift the way you manage your time and become much more productive. Now, this is, for me, is simply exciting and inspiring. Okay, let's take stock for a second. So far, we've got 3 steps locked in. The first one is the clear vision, the second one is the actionable goals, and the third one is the weekly tactical plans with time blocking. And now comes the fourth and final step, the one that turns you from just doing time management to actually becoming a time management pro. This is step 4, which I call execute, measure, learn, and repeat. Now, you might be wondering, wait, how is this step even connected to time management? The answer is quite simple. This is a step where you learn, improve, and level up. That's the step that I see that separates the average from the top 1%. Because here's the truth, like anything else, time management is a skill, and skills that take time to master. It's really not complicated. Let me show you what I mean. Let's take Mike's first week again. The first part of this step is simple, just execute. Conceptually, this is easy. Once we've inserted our key actions into the weekly calendar, all that's left to do is, well, just do them. For example, Mike had research inventory software blocked for Monday morning. That's an action that he had to execute. But here's where most people stop, and that's a mistake. At the end of each week, you need to take stock by measuring your time management performance. Now, what does it actually mean? It's as simple as this. Count how many of your key planned actions you actually completed. In Mike's case, he had 8 key actions scheduled for the week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and he followed through on 7 of them. That means his time management score was 7 out of 8, or roughly 87%. Now, inside a full 12-week year, there are several ways to measure performance. But in this video, we are laser focused on time management. So we're going to stick on measuring time management for now. So once you've measured your weekly score, okay, so at the end of the week, you're going to measure your performance, just like I showed you, and you're not going to just move on, okay? So at the end of the week, I would recommend that you just pause, reflect, and try to extract insights from your performance for the next week. So you can ask yourself questions like, what went well? What went wrong? What can I tweak to improve my score? Maybe I'm cramming too many time blocks, maybe too few, or perhaps your buffer times just need adjusting, and so on. The key is this. Gaining insights weekly and applying them is how you rapidly improve your time management. And over time, this one habit alone can transform how much you can achieve. Okay, let's quickly recap. Step 1, create a 12-week vision. So you start with a clear, emotionally meaningful vision for one area of your life. This gives you direction, conviction, and it's acting like a North Star. Step 2, you set specific 12-week goals. So you translate your vision into 1, 2, or 3 actionable, measurable goals. These goals anchor your focus and define your success. Now, step 3, we're going to build weekly tactical plans. So you break your goals into weekly and daily actions, you put them on your calendar using strategic time blocks, and then you execute on them. Okay, step number 4, which is execute, measure, reflect, and repeat. So we're going to track how many planned actions you actually completed during each week of the 12-week, and then you learn from your result. You adjust, improve, and keep going, and we're just baking your insights and improving with each cycle. So that's a very, very important step.